Hi, I'm Lee Gatiss, and this is Lee on the Lectionary, and we're looking this week at the Lectionary week known as Proper 16, and the readings for Proper 16 are Jeremiah chapter 1 verses 4 to 10, Hebrews chapter 12 verses 18 to 29, and Luke 13 verses 10 to 17. And this Sunday, our readings teach us that the world-altering Word of God is not to be resisted, but rejoiced in, even if others do not like it. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, bringing him a commission as a prophet to the nations. Like Moses, Jeremiah tries to wiggle out of such a dangerous role by claiming that he has no gift for public speaking, and indeed no experience either because he's so young. The Lord patiently reasons with Jeremiah, understanding his fears. You won't need experience or oratorical skill, he says. I myself will tell you what to say. My word will be sufficient. There's no need to be afraid that people will dismiss your word because of who you are. You will be speaking my word, he says. And just as in Isaiah chapter 6, when Isaiah was called, the prophet's lips are touched, though not this time by an intermediary bringing atonement, but by the Lord himself in ordination. Jeremiah was right to be somewhat nervous. God's word in his mouth would uproot and destroy whole kingdoms, as well as building and planting new things. But this awesome power and responsibility could not be shirked. The potent voice of God filled Moses and the Israelites at Sinai with such terror that they couldn't bear to actually hear it. But now, says Hebrews 12, we have a better word through Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant. The one who is speaking remains the same and is not to be refused, his voice silenced or rejected. If the word to Jeremiah, or through Jeremiah, was to make the nations shudder and tremble, this new word, this new covenant word, should do so even more. It will shake not only the earth, but even the heavens, and result in both judgment on the unwary and an unshakable kingdom for believers. How much more seriously, then, should we take our response to it, not snubbing the God who has always been a consuming fire, but offering a reverent sacrifice of praise and thanksgiving to him for his grace. Luke chapter 13, our third reading, shows Jesus, as usual, teaching the word in the synagogue. A crippled woman, afflicted by a demonic spirit which prevented her from standing up straight, enters the scene to disturb the service. The crooked arch of her back compelled her eyes to focus constantly down on her feet, just as the curvature of human nature renders us unable to look up to God in our own strength. And then appears the agent of change, the spoken word of God. Woman, you are set free. Touched by the word and by the word himself, she responds and rejoices. Notice, though, the customary reaction of the synagogue leader. Angry at Jesus' seeming disregard for customary Sabbath observance, he doesn't dare to actually criticize Jesus himself. His ire is directed at the people, a much easier target. But he and other unnamed opponents who sat in the synagogue that day are put to shame by the exposure of their hypocrisy. They treat their donkeys better than they treat this woman, her long imprisoned spirit fast bound in sin and nature's night. The Sabbath is not for the maintenance of our comfort, but for liberty and for reveling in the wonderful things that Jesus has done and is doing through his word. That word brings division, as we saw last week, both overthrowing those who resist it and building up those who delight in its vigorous, life-giving ministry.